Clearly, there is a war against the West right now. Its foundations, its values, it's coming from without and also from within. We see it in America, we see it in Europe, we see it in the Holy Land. And I'm trying to make sense of the meaning of that war. And really, my next question for you is, what's coming next? We're just past 2 years since the horrific attack in Israel by Hamas. It seems like we're boiling up to some bigger moment here in human history. What are you expecting for that moment?
Yeah. Well, one, it's interesting because this is all coming to a head on the Feast of Sukkot or Tabernacles. And this all began on the Feast of Tabernacles. Actually a holy day. One of the things it brought out is that the enemy comes against God using the things of God. And so he attacks on a holy day. And now this is coming to a head with Trump through this. Well, wow. a few things. One is that this war this war began long before we were born, and it's going to continue. And the Bible speaks of end time prophecy, where it doesn't. I mean, in the end, it gets more intense. And one of the foreshadows of something that is yet to come, that happened in October 7th, is that the prophet Ezekiel speaks about a gathering, an alliance, an invasion of many nations coming against Israel near the end of what's called the last days. Well, the amazing thing is the nations that he mentions by their ancient names, we can identify many of them. And the amazing thing is that virtually every single one of them is an enemy of Israel, number one. Number two, they've never attacked Israel, been part of an invasion until October 7th, because the very nations, the very names that Ezekiel cites had a part in backing it and financing it. It includes Turkey, it includes Iran. So this is like a shadow that we're crossing a prophetic line. The Bible says, and through Ezekiel, and that Iran, what was called Persia back then, is going to attack Israel. Well, Iran never did that directly until during these last 2 years, and Israel struck back. So we are crossing these prophetic red lines. Another thing that is a prophetic significant thing that is yet to come is the building of the temple. The Bible says that the temple will be rebuilt on the Temple Mount. That's part of Revelation. It's part of Hebrew prophecy. And what people don't realize is that behind October 7th and everything we've just been through was actually the Temple Mount. It began with something happening there. The Hamas named their operation basically the Al-Aqsa or Temple Mount flood. It happened on the Hebrew Holy Day that's linked to the Temple Mount. So there's really a war about all these things. And the other thing to throw in is that, the other war that Dinesh spoke about is the war against believers. There's been more persecution in our day of believers than any other time. And so there's hatred of Israel raging, hatred of Christians raging, and we've got a real fight to fight.
Completely agreed. And we're going to need God's help in that fight. It's very clear that the key to saving the West is returning to God and to our roots, spiritually, philosophically, morally. Which brings me to a question for you, Dinesh. Maybe my last one for you. So, since 1948, the U.S. and Israel have been very closely linked. But in the last 2 years or so, we've seen a growing movement here in America and beyond that's calling for a decoupling between the West, the modern West, and the state of Israel. I want to get your thoughts about that movement and what you think it means and your reaction to it.
We seem to be, in the political sense now, descending from the spiritual to the political. We see very clearly a strange alliance in the world between the global radical jihadis on the one hand and the cultural left in the West on the other. Now, these are two very different groups. They would not live comfortably in each other's worlds, and yet they are joined at the hip because of common hatreds. Whom do they hate? Well, basically whom they hate is Israel and the Jews on the one side and Christians and the West on the other. So think about it. If those are the devil's brigades, if those are the devil's two platoons, let's call it the red platoon and the green platoon symbolizing, if you will, the jihadi side, and the red platoon, let's loosely call it the communists. So if the communists and the jihadis are coming together against us, doesn't it make sense for the Jews and the Christians? Doesn't it make sense for America and Israel to be God's two platoons to go up against them? I think it does.